Yes.
Juan Ortiz.
Yes.
Dr. Guyer Shambo.
Yes. Motion carries. Adoption of the minutes.
Sir, Mr. President, Board, I recommend that we adopt the minutes of October 18th, 2022 as presented.
Is there a motion to that effect?
So moved.
Motion has been made by Board Member Lopez. Is there a second?
No second.
Second by Ron Ortiz to approve the minutes as presented. Motion. Roll call.
Robert Hayes.
Yes.
Juan Ortiz.
Yes.
Dr. Guyer Shambo.
Yes, motion carries. Recognitions.
There are no formal, Mr. President, Board, but I do, hot off the press before the agenda came out, a lot of students are doing very well in sports. And Laguna Acoma, just recently, the boys and the girls made it to state, so they'll be competing at the state level here pretty soon. That's boys and the girls. I don't know if anybody has any additional information. That's the news I got. I'm sure there's more to come, and we'll talk about it more at the next board meeting, I'm sure, and hopefully they'll be winning at the state level too, so that's what I have.
Yes. Oh, and welcome to the meeting. Easy notice, I just zipped right through things. Could have been through the meeting in 5 minutes. Yeah, right. But I really am happy to see you all, especially the ones in front and a public couple in the back. So, Mr. Pettis, where are we at now?
We are at Citizens to Address the Board, and there are no citizens to address the board this evening, Mr. President.
Okay, thank you. Presentations, Mr. Pettis.
Yes, sir. So this evening, we have Blue Water, San Rafael, principal and staff at our regular school site presentations. So turn it over to Mr. Miller.
Mr. President, board members, Superintendent Pettis, department chairs, we're really proud and honored to present to you tonight. And I just want to say that just really take a couple minutes and talk about both schools on some of the things that we've done and what we expect. At Blue Water, our attendance right now is like at 94%. So we're all proud of our students, and my impression of Blue Water, it's always been highly successful. And with that comes the recognition of the parents who expect to send their kids to school to get a good education. Okay, what that means to the teachers is that they have to meet those expectations from the parents. That's what these teachers have done. They have done that for many years, and we're continuing that history. And I couldn't be proud of them and both staffs that are here tonight. And all I did was, excuse me, ask the teachers if they would come and kind of observe our students and kind of be here for them. And that's the type of people these teachers are. They respect the students respect them, and we really help each other. At San Rafael, our attendance is 90%. And we have two mothers here with their families, okay, and we really respect that the way that the community supports our schools. And we are getting better at San Rafael. It used to be kind of where they were a little hesitant and a little bit standoffish a little bit about coming and being with the teachers or the staff and talking things over and making the school better. But I feel like we're on the correct road, in the correct path. So with that, I'll turn it over to Mrs. Valdez and we'll start our presentation.
Thank you. Good evening, Ms. Valdez.
Good evening, Dr. Archambault, Mr. Ortiz, yes, Mr. Hayes, members of the board, everyone here tonight, Superintendent Pettis. So yes, we can go back to the beginning. This is Blue Water in San Rafael. really like that last year we had separate presentations and this year we're really working on our collaboration and cohesive. So we're glad that we're all here together. We truly teach and plan work every day for every student, every day, building a person for life. We have 2 of our student council representatives and our teachers that'll be helping us out tonight. Our student council representative from Blue Water is Mr. Colin Lundstrom. Go ahead and come on up. He's gonna help with our presentation. And you guys might remember from last year, Ms. Valeria Rosales. Go ahead and come on up. And they'll be presenting part of the Blue Water slides and San Rafael slides. So you can go ahead and go to the next slide.
Hello, my name is Colin Lundstrom. I am the president of the student council for Blue Water and a student attending here. For the Blue Water teaching staff, we have for kindergarten, we have Miss Floyd. For first grade, we have Miss Garcia. For first and second grade combined class, we have Miss Garcia. For third grade, we have Miss Puderbaugh. For fourth grade, we have Miss Aragon, and then for fifth and sixth grade ELA, we have Miss Simpson. And then for 5th and 6th grade math, we have Mr. Simpson. Also for special education, we have Mr. Pruitt. And then for education assistants, we have Miss Kelsey and Miss Ariana. Then for we have Mr. Burks as secretary, Miss Armstead as counselor, and Miss Viviana as for attendance.
I'm Valeria Rosales. I'm in 6th grade. I'm a secretary in student council, and for kindergarten, Miss Meta is our teacher. For first and second, it's Miss Garcia. For third and fourth, it's Miss Joanna. For fifth grade, it's Miss Christine. For sixth grade, it's Miss Chavez. For art, it's Miss Ruby. Music, Miss Kins, Miss Tracy, Miss Emily, 3rd and 4th aid, Miss Ruby, librarian, and is also a nurse, Miss Pruitt, special ed and classroom inclusions, Miss Selena, aid, Miss Novella is our secretary, Miss Valdez is our instructional coach.
So that's the next slide.
For professional development days, when there's no school and for students, both Blue Water and San Rafael collaborate and work together to train, plan, and learn new programs.
Ms. Novella is our secretary and Ms. Bowles is our instructor.
So our root cause analysis led us to creating our dash plan goals for each site. So the top 3 to 4 goals are Blue Water, San Rafael's goals, and the bottom are Blue Water's. So from that, we knew that we needed to set clear systems, routines, procedures, and expectations throughout the school. And then from Blue Water, working on our tiered interventions. And we feel like you can see throughout the slides that we've really taken strides and steps and procedures to get there. So going with our school-wide systems as well as our inclusion steps. So go ahead. Last year, we had what really felt like separate schools, separate routines, separate schedules, feeling like isolated islands. We had 2 different, this was San Rafael's schedule and that was Blue Water's schedule. We had 2 different lunches because that's what worked for that school, and prep times, pull-out times, things like that. Blue Water had what was working for them. This year we took steps to make the same cohesive schedule for both schools, which would really help our teachers, would help our pull-out prep teachers who go back and forth to know the same schedule for both sites. We took into consideration a lot of things for some teachers that liked certain things and prep times at certain times, but that also helped us, if you'll go to the next slide, that also helped us to be, as I talked about, the cohesive schedule for both sites. That also helped us to have the same prep times per each grade level to then allow us to collaborate for PLCs. So even though we are miles apart, we are virtually meeting during our prep times for PLCs and Google Links there during our common time. So we'll go ahead and lead into that. Go ahead and continue. So they might look different than other schools, but this is what our PLCs look like.
And I'm Jolie Simpson, and I told Amanda I'd talk a little bit about the benefits of our PLCs. Not only do we get to meet virtually to share ideas and resources and plan to meet standards, we get to focus on examining student work, and we look at one standard closely. And we also get to see how the different teachers meet that one particular standard within student work. We get to see how we address standards within student work. We discuss interventions, we discuss how we differentiate student instruction and enrich student lessons. But most of all, it creates a sense of feeling that we're on the same team to best meet the needs of our students. So that's what we feel the PLCs have done for us. We're on the same team now, even though we are miles apart. So that's what we feel the PLCs have done best for us.
Next, going into our next slide, will be Mr. Darren Simpson talking about planning and teaching from our DLP.
Everybody, school board, Mr. Perez, I'm here to talk about the DLP, which is the district learning plan. And you know, there are probably some mixed emotions throughout the district, but that has given us such a roadmap to tell us where exactly we need to pinpoint our teaching. It's made me more targeted, more precise in my teaching. My first year, I remember, and I've taught there for 17 years, and some of the questions asked is, why do you guys do so well out there at Blue Water? Well, they did well before I ever got there, but a whole lot of accountability. I remember the first year we looked at it was the CTPS scores, and they talked about our percentage proficient. And I looked up there and I was like 30% in my math, and Miss Aragon and Miss Lewis tapped me on the shoulder and said, hey, you better be doing better next year. We're gonna have to do something different, you know? It's kind of like being a coach, I had to win. So anyhow, this DLP is huge because it gives us a roadmap. It breaks us all of our standards down into 4 quarters, and we know exactly what we need to teach that quarter. There's not any guesswork anymore. I'll give you an example. My first year teaching the Common Core standards, after we got done with the part test, a little girl stopped and asked me, she said, what's a coefficient? And I said, what do you mean? She said, well, on the part test, it was asking us about the coefficient. And I thought, they got one in on us because a coefficient isn't even in our standards. So I had to look it up on the Penn website, and I'll be dang, it was there. It was in parentheses. And I thought, I won't get tricked like that again. But with Mr. President, the way Raina set up that DLP, it's amazing. Everything's laid out in front of you. There's nothing hidden. You know, it used to be, what are we going to be tested on? Well, right there with that DLP, the learning plan, there's not any guesswork. You know exactly what you're being tested on. So that's huge. But I think everyone has their personal choice on curriculum on what to teach, and Mr. President gave us the option to have several different choices. Whatever, for the school board members, if you're wanting these kids to raise their scores, you got to spiral their instruction to where they see that material on a daily basis. Okay, these guys, for example, like in 6th grade, I have 15 standards, and it's so overwhelming. I talked to I think he was a 2nd-year teacher yesterday at our PLC, and he said, I can't get through everything. There's an old deal that's called Saxon, it was a curriculum called Saxon, and it spiraled every day. So last year we used it, it kind of got outdated because of the Common Core. So last year we used it at, Blue Water, was in 2009, I think, when we had the Blue Ribbon Award. We were 85% proficient in math. That's huge, that's huge. And the only reason, not because necessarily we were such great teachers, it was because these kids saw this material on a daily basis. And because Mr. Perez has given us that opportunity to use what we think is best, that's opened up a huge gate for us to where we can pull from different resources. We don't have to have just that one curriculum. Anyhow, back to the DLP. Great job. We appreciate it because it gives us a way to go forward. There's not any guesswork anymore. Thank you.
Thank you.
We're always looking at data and ensuring that we're meeting those standards. And so this year, we looked at our data along with our AR data. We continue to use Accelerated Reader. And our school at Blue Water has bought into it, and it's used there and continue to be used. So this year, we took our NMASA scores, and then we took our interim scores along with the Illuminate scores, and we compared those with our students who earned their AR goal or did not earn their first 9 weeks AR goal, since AR is individualized based on students' reading levels. And it was very interesting. First, our 5th graders scored 64% proficient on their New Mexico Assessment of Science Readiness. And that is a huge, I think AR plays a huge factor in that, since they are prepared as far as their reading goes. But 2 interesting facts that we saw in the data was that students who met their first 9 weeks AR goals showed growth, and some of it was significant when we looked at the data from their NMASA to their interim test to their Q1 Illuminate. And so here's an example. One of our students scored novice on the NMASA. Then when we looked at the interim test, in both reading and ELA, the score was nearing target in both areas. This student met her AR goal, and on the Q1 Illuminate scored proficient. Now it flip-flops for students who did not meet the AR goal that was set. So we have one student who scored nearing proficient on the NMASA, nearing target in both areas on the interim test, and was below basic on the Q1 Illuminate. And so looking at that data, every one of our students who met his or her AR goal showed growth. When we looked at the data, even if he or she maybe didn't score proficient yet on the NMASA or the Q1 Illuminate, there was still growth. And it was the same for students who didn't meet his or her AR goals, because the student either showed a decrease or plateaued. And so what we took from that data is that AR supports that sustained, silent, consistent reading. And so students have that when they come to a test. They develop fluency, speed, accuracy, and comprehension when they're reading to take a test. And then they have that perseverance. They don't give up and quit. And then along the way, AR provides incentives. We, give little 25% awards. We give book it certificates monthly for free pizzas at Pizza Hut. We just provide incentives along the way so that students stay hooked within the program. And many of them learn to love reading along the way, and they become, lifelong readers. And so we feel that AR just goes hand in hand with becoming proficient on the test overall, since so much of the test, even math, deals with becoming better fluent readers. So we thought that was interesting.
The teachers are teaching standards, but that AR time ensures them that independent practice to apply to unknown contexts. Now we have continued student presentation.
For the Blue Water bullying prevention, we had kinder through third have a read aloud about standing up for yourself and being proud about who you are. We also practiced stop, walk, and talk. For fourth through sixth grade students, we focused on cyberbullying and myths regarding social media. Then we finished with having the students sign a promise to stop bullying and a donut treat.
Center for Bullying Prevention youngers learn how to stop, walk, and talk, and fifth grade and sixth learn about cyberbullying and how to test on true or false methods in school in social media. And we had to sign a paper promising that we will not do bullying, and as a reward, every kid that will do. Student council. When Miss Tracy was absent, we had no PD, so Miss Beth took the classes to do a web of students acting. Playing character traits of friendship from Charlotte's Web, then we signed the Web of Kindness. Every month we design a door based on the holiday, like this month. That since it is Halloween, we wanted to decorate the door theme Halloween. Like in this picture, my sister designed this star, and it says Hocus Pocus. Only is
That's scary.
Art. Mr. Lee supports standards, social development, and concepts in a fun way. He also incorporates stuff we learned in class. Like when some kids were reading a story, he had them draw the setting of the setting of the story. He also incorporates current events, like when he had us make hot air balloons for the balloon fiesta. Also, for Red Ribbon Week, Blue Water did a walk around the block, which was about a mile. And then we also had a special guest come and talk about living life drug free. And then for the student essay contest, we had 2 winners from 6th grade, and then 2 winners from 5th grade.
the sheriffs came to us teachers about this. They showed us a picture about a pill we should never eat and how it works.
I think this one was not the updated slide because there was one more additional slide in there. She'll just speak to that. It's a picture of our community events we've had so far. It's a picture of our basket bingo and Halloween carnival. But I'll let you go ahead and talk about it.
A lot of parents and community donated baskets. Students helped in concession stands and handed out baskets to the neighbors. Families of students got to play and spend fun time with their parents and grandparents.
For the community, Blue Water hosted a Halloween carnival. Staff and students also came to work shifts at some of the booths. Then for Mr. Louis also made some creative but spooky Halloween decorations for the haunted hallway.
So again, I just wanted to take that moment to recognize Mr. Louis and all of his art that he connects to settings and standards and current events and making kids want to come. They don't ever want to miss a pull out, or they really want to try their best in class so they can get to be involved in all of the fun things going on. And if any of you guys are like any one of our Blue Water Facebook page or saw our Blue Water Carnival and our haunted hallway, all of that was basically an art gallery of scary neon glow in the dark paintings that all of the kids loved and wanted to go to, but that was missing from that slide. Okay, now let's talk about data and what we look at that drives our instruction. This is Blue Water's data, and so one thing about Synergy is, and our new quarterly assessments, which replaced Illuminate, that we have so much more reports available. And so the one thing that I will just talk about from these reports is what we've got to look at so far is a student report that can be sent home to parents to let parents know how they mastered or did not master every standard. And then our overall scores, our item analysis, and so many different things that we've only touched on so far. But so the slide that Mrs. Simpson was talking about before in correlating and graphing and really diving deep into our data, if you notice it was color coded, we color coded it to go along with where they placed on their quarterly. And so the bar below basic is pink red, below basic is green, nearing proficient a little bit, or I mean that's kind of a gold green. Nearing proficient is green, proficient is like teal, and advanced is blue. So that's the only part that I want to pay attention to for these slides, is that the proficient is teal and the advanced is blue. So ELA is on top and math is on bottom. This is kindergarten, first grade, second grade, third grade. If you'll notice, these teachers diligently planning, focused, driven instruction, planning according to the DLP, making sure they have that goal, but also that partnership with parents and that accountability and structure that drives our instruction. And so ELA, math on the bottom, kindergarten, first through third. We have blue, if not teal, which would be proficient and then advanced. You can go continue on. And so this continues Blue Water with fourth grade, fifth grade, sixth grade, again, ELA on top and math on the bottom. We have teal, which would be proficient, blue, advanced. We have a couple there in the green where the texts get a little bit more complex and things and reasons, but we'll go back into studying our item analysis and to see where to plan and drive our instruction from then. Go on. Same scenario for Standard Fells data, kindergarten, first grade, second grade, third grade, ELA on top, math on the bottom. Again, we have teal proficient, blue advanced, teal proficient, blue advanced, teal proficient, blue advanced. Keep going. And then we finish off with fourth grade, fifth grade, sixth grade. And that's just, it doesn't, those are just the overarching score with how we're doing overall as a grade level with our standards, with our quarterly assessments. But that is just the glimpse of it, just the iceberg. So then what we do in our PLCs, go ahead and continue on, for our daily planning and prep time, is look at the item analysis and where did we do better than the district or better than the average? Where was our weaker points, which standards need more focused, and see where we could still, which is what we were doing in our PLCs yesterday, is where can we reconnect those into the second quarter and third quarter and not let it be short-term memory. But like Mr. Simpson said, spiral review and continue on to make it concrete before their big championship game in Namasta. And then so every day is looking at examining student work, well, at least 2 times a week, or at least weekly in our PLCs, and then looking at our Lexia, looking at our iStation, looking at all the data we can to analyze, plan, teach, and review. That is what we have for you today.
Thank you.
Santa Fe Elementary.
What's your role there?
I am the student council president.
Okay, tell me what you've done.
We did a door decoration competition. And we did Red Ribbon Week, and we had special guests.
This is the young lady that says, Mr. Miller, we need to have a talk. What did we talk about? One thing was our playground was getting a little bit weedy.
Yes.
We did a new swing set. Okay. And remember, our student council is our government. And then our burritos were started too hot a couple of times in the lunchroom, so we had to kind of take them out just a little bit earlier. Okay, and things, that's what our student council's for. I like her very much. I like all of them. We're all working together. Most of my job is kind of run interference, put out fires, and that's like our AR reading. If they don't make her go, I talk to them. I send a letter home to the parents saying how important that is and things. And it's important that you have students that aren't afraid to come into your office and say, Mr. Miller, we need some things fixed. And that's what our student governance. All right, so anything else to say?
No.
One moment. And what is your name?
Julie,
The whole name?
Maramita,
And are your parents here?
my mom.
Can your mom stand up? Okay, and what is your mom's name?
Adrienne.
Adrienne. Fantastic. Congratulations, Adrienne. Yeah, really happy
But
to
we
have
want you to
you.
also remember that it all starts at home, and we have good students that want to come to school. They respect the teachers respect them, and we all have good discipline. And so we really try to instill that discipline that they have from home. And that's one thing I'm really kind of working on some of our students that are living with great grandparents or things like that, that have a little trouble with that right there. Anyway, but these two schools, they're kind of diamonds in the rough. They're really excellent students, excellent parents. And like I said, I have great staff. And, I don't know if you all want to introduce yourself right, but there's some other gentlemen, kids here.
I'm Stella Garcia, first grade and second grade teacher.
Hi, good afternoon, everybody. I'm Christine Lojero. I'm teaching the 5th grade at San Rafael.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Mr. Louis Corneo. I'm an art teacher for K-6.
Okay,
Good evening, I am Joanna, 3rd and 4th grader teacher at San Rafael.
great.
I'm Tracy Torres, I'm a PE teacher at Blue Water Santa Fe.
Okay,
Hi, everyone. I'm Mera Garcia, teaching 1st and 2nd grade Blue Water Elementary School.
right.
Hi, Tammy Lloyd, teaching kindergarten since 2005.
Really?
I'm Amanda Valdez, I'm instructional coach at Blue Water in Center Field.
Aaron Simpson, 5th and 6th grade math at Blue Water.
Good evening, I'm Sharon Peter Bond, 3rd grade at Blue Water.
I'm Beth Armstrong, school counselor for both schools.
I'm Jolie Simpson, I'm 5th grade homeroom and then 5th and 6th language arts at Blue Water.
Hey, thank you for having us.
Yeah, are these kids up front?
This is all one family right here. The thing about all these students. They're all A students.
Oh, good job.
They're all student council members.
So are these all in school, in our school? All the kids, you guys in front?
I go to Los Palomitos.
Los Alamitos?
Yes.
Okay. What about the little girl next to you?
Alejandro is in the slide for decorating the door for student council. Go ahead, Alejandra.
She's like, oh, I have to. That's all right. We're glad you're here.
Yeah, we don't want to embarrass you, but we don't mind embarrassing you.
Yeah, it's our job.
But kids, I'm glad you're here. It's really marvelous that you're succeeding so well. Board members, us three?
I'm glad they're visiting this night. I wish we'd had more kids come to the board meeting when they don't need to be here.
Yeah. Yeah,
Good comment, yeah, I agree
but
with that.
it's also courageous to get up and talk in front of adults like this.
A little scary.
Mr. Lundstrom, thank you. You did a good job. And your colleague, what was her name? Yeah, both of you. Excellent. And just continue to do that. Don't be afraid. It's scary, but the next time around, when you get up and to talk with other people, you'll get used to it and you'll build your confidence. And that's what's really important for you. Really believe that. And thank you, parents and staff. It's really outstanding for us to have you here. We believe that your competency, your professionalism is excellent, and we appreciate you quite a lot. And parents, without a doubt, you're the ones who make this happen for your children as well as for our schools. So with that, Mr. Pettis,
Yes,
comments?
Yes, I'd like to just give my congratulations to Blue Water, San Rafael. It's a good example of teamwork, not only as a school, but two schools. You know, very comprehensive, obvious, as stated, working as a team, two schools working as a team. You have great staff, committed. I know that. I heard the word accountability about 3 or 4 times tonight. It's key. It sounds like you guys are on the same page as far as that goes. I like the fact that you covered all the aspects of not only the data, the math and the ELA, the expectations, the accountability, but you also included your anti-bullying, your art. So just a very comprehensive, a good sense that these schools are in a healthy way. Okay, and I think the best is yet to come. I'm glad you pull it all together. Working as a village is gonna get you to high places. I appreciate that.
And I'd like to make a request. Boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, would you stand up here in front so I can take a photograph, a portrait of all? So kids up front here, parents, teachers in the back.
Everybody.
Kids up front,
Come on.
right here. Jennifer, would you help get them lined up?
Lined up there, come on.
Want all the kids first in the front.
Parents in
Want the
back.
parents,
There you go.
want the teachers. Amanda, principals, instructional coaches.
We brought you, Steve. Good for some.
Oh my gosh, there's a crowd.
Squeeze it, there you go. Perfect, like you like each other. Good, Mr. Dr. Guy.
Doing it. Give me that smile, kids. I gotta see that smile. Give us that Halloween smile. There we go. Fantastic.
One more camera.
This is just marvelous. Okay, I'm finished with the meeting. Let's go home. I'm done. To be a teacher again, to be a principal again. Waiting for you. I'll try to remember to send you those photographs. Keep them in.
Our website.
Bye.
Yeah, to put them on the website, yeah. Wipes out our.
So that is the second language.
Okay.
The two little ones were a little bit more proficient in Spanish.
Second language learners.
In that
Making
first
ace.
row.
Okay, the rest of it better be pretty good. I don't know, you better make this happen.
Follow.
Cute, I can tell you that right now.
Okay. B, district enrollment and attendance update.
Yes, so Mr. President, Board, our current enrollment is at 3,188 students as of 10/28. And in your packet, you see some of the numbers. Blue Water, attendance always ties directly to performance, and along with their improving student performance, they also have the highest attendance rate in the district at 95.71%. You have some of them in the 80s. When they get, we like to keep them in the 90s. Some are close 90s. I need to make a note about the Grants High School data. That's not correct. That's still being worked on when they put this out.
It seems to be odd, yeah.
Yeah, Reina and Patricia are both out and training this week. But during the last few days, I've been working with Trish and Rose Gingrich and Steve Brown. And the last time we talked was on Monday, I believe. And that's really should be, it's 83 right now solidly, but there's some other work that's going on there. There's some errors. Some of the thing that's going on as we transfer it into Synergy is that at some point there was a place in the system where the students were not being cut off when they were transferred to a different class. So in other words, they would go from one class to another. They'd start to be counted present in the one course, but they failed to take them off the other course. So then the course that they were no longer in, they were being counted absent. And so that's being corrected. We'll have a more accurate report for the board, at least by the next meeting. If anything, I'll include it in the packets. So, but I have to say, overall, we are at a dip. We've been, up and down in our attendance rates. But right now, we're at a little bit of a dip. And if you want to add to that, Dr. Martin.
In the most recent poll that Rose did, our enrollment for 40 days actually 3,225.
Me too.
That's as of.
That's
October
official.
31st.
And whatever Rose reports is the official.
As of October 31st, that's 3,225.
322
And the district-wide attendance rate is at 93.6.
for the overall district.
Overall district, 93.6.
And I think
Okay,
that,
so that 77 is done right because that'll pull the average down.
Yeah, exactly that. It did. It pulled it down 3 points.
So if it's 93, it's gotta be higher.
Yeah, and that's probably the discrepancy.
Discrepancy.
Yeah, whenever you change over from one program to another, there's always bugs that has to be worked out. And to have the ability to try and see and find them is the key, and not just take them, well, that's true, well, maybe it's not. So,
What?
and we're also analyzing the subgroups and the attendance rates. And we are, with our outreach team, taking corrective measures to see what we can do to improve that.
Do you remember it used to be Mondays and Fridays were tough days? So I'm wondering whether that's still, mom and dads wanna go someplace on Friday. And there's nobody to stay with them, so all that stuff. But then we know that, those are the patterns that we've seen in the past.
Yes.
Or near holidays, things like that sort. You might wanna continue to take a look at those kind of patterns, phenomenon, whether it still exists.
Are there any questions about, any other questions about enrollment, attendance?
Well, I'm really, the 40-day count, the first time you said it was 31 something, but if it's 32,
Yeah, so
it makes me feel better,
yeah.
because we're gonna have to start to put dollar figures against this in the years to come. And the lower the 40-day count is, the unpleasant it is for us financially. Okay. Thank you. Any other comments? If none,
I just have a quick
Yeah,
question for Mr. Perez.
yes.
I know that Gallup was getting some of our students online. Have we picked up some of those students back in our district?
We've gotten a lot of students, we've gotten back from online programs in general. I don't think, we haven't gotten all of them back from the K-12 program. I think that's the program that it's run through Gallup K-12. I think they still have several Grants-able GCCS students. But I think we got several of those back into school as well, but not completely. I don't know if we ever will, but
Yeah, no, I just was wondering where was that. I'd like to see our students back in our district, so.
Yeah.
I don't know how you guys feel, but.
yeah, definitely.
Well,
What we found is parents, I think they got their fill of online throughout the COVID
Yeah,
days,
yeah,
and
and that's,
I say, let's get our kids back to in-person, and face-to-face, which is the, proven the most effective way to deliver education,
yes,
face-to-face.
face to face, yeah. So, okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
thank you. So it's not 3-1, it's 3-2-2-5. Okay, all right, Mr. Pettis, next.
Next one is we talked about the superintendent complaint process. We have the latest document in there in your packet. And I believe that the last couple of meetings, we had some sharing, thoughts, comments, debate on what should or shouldn't be included there. So this is the latest copy of that. And I believe,
The parts that are there now are we want an expansion on the procedure, step-by-step business, and on page 2, we start to see that.
Exactly.
And so, it outlines much more clearly what a person's supposed to do. They're not gonna make stand up here and make a complaint. But they can bring the complaint to me that night or any other day, to the, I guess, superintendent. Is that correct? Or to
Yes.
the-
yeah,
well, actually, it doesn't say, it seems to say that they're going to be addressed to me. And you will record it in box 8, okay? Then we'll follow through with that. It says, I was curious about this business of if the envelope so indicates that's on A, the envelope will not be opened by school personnel. So that means that they have to state that it should not be open.
You can put confidential on it.
Well, I'm just wondering, why would the human resource person even have an interest in looking at the complaint right off the bat? Max, Mr. Pettis.
yeah, I think the way we had generally that do it go straight to you without HR.
Yeah, I don't think there's a need to do that. I think that if there has to be a first analysis of this, and that has to remain with the board. And we may end up doing that in a board meeting of some sort. I cannot initiate a process independent of the board. It's a board action. So that's what I'm looking for, is that I will receive that and review it and then set it up for a present to in executive session the complaint. Okay, so that's my, on A, I would question it going to the human resources at that point. I think it needs to just stick with the board.
Well, Mr. President, in coming to central office, where to go to if you're not here?
Well, they will inform me. It'll say President Garsham, President of the Board of Education.
Yeah.
And think on the envelope, they must indicate its topic,
Should, you would hope.
so that if it does be received, that there could be multiple correspondence to me.
Yeah.
And this one, and so I would suspect I would expect they would ordinarily open those up.
Well, I think that the tension here, and I don't have anything against it going to HR just as an organizational process. You know, if she could go through it, organize it, keep it confidential. Her office is primarily the most confidential in the district. But if HR can receive those, get them to the right person, if you happen to be out, they'll be in a safe place in HR until they get to you. That's my 2 cents.
I agree with that.
Well,
HR.
it needs to go someplace confidentially until I get a chance to
Well,
look at it.
that's what I'm saying. HR is, presumably the most
Now,
confidential.
it also could go to you. But does she open it up?
If it's got your name on it, I would say no.
Okay, if that's my name. So if we receive that, you would ask them, and it may be in the mail too. That's the only,
You should have your name on it then.
should have my name on it, but it should be, we should have a statement there on the envelope that this is a complaint. So when it comes in, it needs to be so noted when it gets to the district office.
Because you do because the board does get mail.
So I'd like to make sure that, that we inform them that they must indicate on the envelope that this is a complaint. Okay? Is that,
Yeah, it'll just have to be stated in the process.
we'll just have to include that in the process. So if someone does ask you, the superintendent's office, that question, the procedure we should add that to that statement on A. That a statement indicating that this is a complaint be so written on the front of the envelope. Now, back to safe, to the, to who does it go to between the time they get it and the time that I look at it. Mr. Pettis, your suggestion.
I don't see any problem with either.
What make, which,
My, I guess you have most direct contact with the board. And then the other good thing about the ring having it is, like, if you happen to be out of town, she'd probably know that already. And she'd know how long to keep it.
I like less steps than more steps. You know, people handling things.
Yeah.
So I'm sorry,
Oh, no, pen's taken.
I'd prefer it cleaner, just simple, comes here, stays here, they communicate to me. And then I determine when when the board's gonna, decide what it wants to do with it. That's my understanding.
That's fine.
The board plans to present, the next step is that I'll present it to the board, so that means it'll be at a regular board meeting. I will not, normally I will not entertain a special session just to do this, okay? If the board decides an investigation is warranted, then a third party, at that board meeting, we will then decide on a third party. And we can seek advice from our attorney to assist us in doing that, okay? That'll be our choice, seek. Assistance. No individual member of the board or committees will be permitted to take part or conduct any investigation of the superintendent. During the course of any investigation, the superintendent will be given an opportunity by the appointed investigator to sufficiently address and clarify the investigation shall be conducted expeditiously, so confer, report to the board. And this is all to be done in 30 days, okay?
Mr. President, do you need to have the 30-day window on there just in case you only have one meeting that month, what have you? Could you just say at the next presumable board meeting?
Okay, say we get it on the first Tuesday. Then we then have to contact the third party. And then that person has to obtain the investigation, I mean, the document. And then we'll have to, I will probably follow the board's directives on what to do with it. And so that'll take a week.
So I just want to violate the window of opportunity in that 30-day. Is that too small of a window? That's what I want to get at.
I was thinking that too.
Because we have had one meeting, in December and one in January. So right there where we've eclipsed probably that 30-day window, depending on when the time frame is.
And just food for thought. It doesn't preclude having a special meeting.
True.
Yeah, if you needed to.
The president alluded that he didn't want to have just a special meeting for one item on the agenda.
30 days.
I'm not trying to say we're not going to take care of what the complaint is, we just want to make sure we don't violate the window and then,
It says no later than 30 days unless approved by the board.
well, when does the board get to meet and say yes or no? And this would be great if we had 2 meetings a month. You could follow that timeframe.
Trying to rephrase D in my mind, but no later than 30 days unless,
I would, Mr. President, I would recommend changing that to a 60-day window. It says no later than 60 days. If you had it at the 35th day, well, then you're fine.
I'm okay with, or even 45 days.
Whichever, yeah.
split.
45 sounds good to me. I think that would really encompass it all.
I mean, 45 would cover it too.
45 then. Pursuant to, board will hear the complaint, review. I didn't even need a problem with the rest of it. But I did have a question about why this complaint process to the board is also there. Because I thought this was a, let me see, what does it say at the front page?
Discussion with
This
superintendent,
was
complaint
about
process.
the superintendent,
Right.
not about the board.
This is the way it was sent to us by.
Okay, well then I would suggest we do not include that unless the board so desires to do that.
Mr. President, why would we not include something against someone that, well, we could do something egregious, not even know it?
Well, when we have, see, the public has the right to complain at any time
Sure.
without any procedure. So what are the consequences of if the board, if the complaint is about me and then we give it to the board and the board can evaluates the merits of it?
If the complaint is to you, Mr. President, it should go to the vice president to be read. If the complaint is about someone else, it goes to you.
All I'm saying is that what do we do with it? See, there are not too many consequences. For him, the consequence could be termination of contract. For us, the only one that terminates us is John Q.
Unless you violate
Unless you
state
violate
law, and
something
it could be a
there.
felony.
Yeah. All I'm saying is that that wasn't what we had said we were going to do. So what I'm saying is that if we want to do that, then we need to have a separate discussion about the board receiving a complaint about one of its members or more than one of its members. So I don't have any problem with complaints against the board. I'm just saying that the purpose of this action item, this was to address what the policy on public comments said.
Yeah.
And we were only addressing the superintendent. And that's the motivation of us doing this.
Exactly, yes.
And so if we wish to do a complaint against the board, then we ought to do that in a separate.
So you're telling us these need to be separated.
That's what I'm thinking, Mr. Perez.
No problem with
Yes,
that.
I think,
Because I didn't bring this up and neither did Mr. Perez, I don't think. So,
we don't have the superintendent complaint process on an action item, so we just have time to fix it. And
so that's what I'm
Bring it
saying,
up.
is the K is not necessary until the board determines that it's necessary.
So what I could do is bring up the superintendent process as an action item at the next board meeting. And if you want to do a first read on the other part, if you want to even entertain the process for board complaints, we could do that
Okay.
as a read, first read.
Yeah.
Because I don't think anybody's gonna play again, I'm just kidding you. Okay, so I think we've kind of cleared up a couple of things. And Mr. Perez, we can prepare ourselves for an action item for the next board meeting. And it has to be an action item because it is a board's policy that it must act on this. And we will then mention this other option K, and if the board wishes to explore that, how do they wish to do that, and we can go through that. All right, any other discussions? None? That concludes that section. 7, action items.
Action item, Mr. President, Board, first action item is consideration of approval of CompuClaim, a third-party Medicaid claims billing service for the special ed department. I recommend that we approve this action item.
If there's any discussion, we can have it after we do the second. Is there a motion?
Second.
Move to approve, seconded. Okay, move to approve by Ron Ortiz, seconded by Bob Hayes. Any discussion? Questions, queries, pros and cons?
So this, Mr. President, board members, this proposal came up after we did an audit of our Medicaid billing services that we've been doing in-house for years. And after we began to review all of the various new functions that Ms. Riego is having to endure at special education, it was clear to us that we were not doing a really good job of Medicaid billing, okay? And so we were missing charges. We, as we began to evaluate how much money and revenue needs to come in, we needed to look at opportunities for new charges and new billing as well. So we reached out to this third-party service. We at first looked at the RECs to see if they could help us. But they didn't have any capacity, nor could they move fast enough to help us with the Medicaid billing that many of our counterparts of districts use the REC for billing. So we reached out to CompuClaim, they're an accredited service from Mexico. We reached out to them and we talked to them, we read their proposal, looked at all the pros and cons of having a billing service, and the fees far outweigh the additional revenue that we would gain from having a third party, as well as the understanding the complexities of Medicaid billing and also the accuracy of Medicaid billing. So this is why we went with this. It's a 3-year contract, $25,000 a year. They also will be taking a look at our old claims from 120 to, I think, 120 days back as a look back period to see what we've underbilled and what we haven't billed. So we'll be able to recoup some fees that way as well.
Gonna ask you a question, but before I do, how long have we been involved with the billing of
Years,
years?
years.
Okay. And the special ed director was given the honor of doing this.
Yes.
And what was the relationship between the special ed office and the business office in getting this accomplished? Was the business office just relying on the special ed director to do this?
Correct. That's correct.
What are your views on this, and what are your thoughts on that ever since you've come into
No, I'm
this?
looking forward to this third-party support. Medicaid billing is, it can consume you. It is a full-time job. And so with our findings with Mr. Maldonado, we are finding that we are not, we haven't recovered as much as we could. And so I'm looking forward to it. Because in my role right now, it's hard for me to commit the time needed to look at the billing and keep up with the time studies and things like that. So I really am looking forward to it.
I'll speak in favor of this motion. I've known for a long time that this was an inappropriate responsibility, that it should have been more the business office providing that expertise. But then it's sort of a mixture of not just totally finance. But it was always something that made me nervous, Mr. Perez. And so I didn't know whether or not we were actually getting the money's worth in doing this in the proper way. And it's important for our special ed office to be focused on special ed, not on finance, especially the intricacies of this. So there you go. Any other comments? Ron?
No.
Okay.
I'm full.
Roll call.
Robert Hayes,
Yes.
Ron Ortiz,
Yes.
Dr. Guyer Shambo.
Yes. Motion carries.
Next item, Mr. President, Board, this is consideration of approval of the purchase of new equipment and consumables for the welding programs at Grants High School and Laguna Acoma High School, their career technical education, CTE. I recommend that we approve this action item.
So motion.
So moved.
So moved by Bob Hayes to approve. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Ron Ortiz to approve. Discussion?
What's the cost, Mr. Pettit?
Mr. Maldonado.
Yeah, Mr. President, board members, we've assembled an estimate of costs. And we're looking at $223,673 as part of our continuing enrichment in CTE, part of the $7 million that we're investing in there. So some of this is equipment, some are consumables that we're going to be outfitting the welding departments at both of the schools. We are just asking right now for the approval of the expenditure up to this amount. We will have to go out to bid because of how expensive everything is, but we anticipate either coming at or below this amount. We'll spend every penny once you approve it,
Up to this amount?
up to that amount,
Up to the amount of what?
$223,673. Of which $63,535 will go to Laguna Acoma and $160,138 will be allocated for Grants High School.
Okay, repeat the 200 figure again.
$223,673.
$673
Yes.
with this, with a
The breakout is $63,535 for Laguna Acoma and $160,138 for Grants High School.
the motion should read up to 223,673 with a appropriate distribution between the two schools. Is that correct?
What we're asking for is approval of the expenditure of $223,673 for the purchase of new equipment and consumables for the welding programs at Grants High School and Laguna Acoma High School.
I apologize, but I only see one sheet of paper that does not have the welding.
We didn't get a breakdown in our packet. Which is, I'm fine with it, I'm like, he's explaining what needs to be done.
So what
You're welcome to take a look at
No,
that.
all I'm saying is,
I'm good.
we included it in the motion, it includes the amount as per handout. Roll call,
I will amend my motion to so read, Mr. President.
thank you very much.
Robert Hayes?
Well, Robert Hayes, wait a minute,
Bueno,
do we do the whole thing?
I can redo the motion.
Okay, redo the motion.
Can we do that?
I will
Oh, do you wish to
Amend.
amend the
amend my
motion?
motion to include the dollar amounts that he just specified. I just gave a blanket
You
motion.
made a motion to amend.
Yes.
Is there a second to the amendment?
I'll second.
Okay.
Roll call on the amendment.
Robert Hayes?
Yes.
Yes.
Ron Ortiz? And Dr. Guy?
Yes. Back to the amended motion. Is there a motion to approve the amended?
So moved.
Is there?
Second.
Second. Roll call.
Robert Hayes?
Yes.
Ron Ortiz?
Yes.
Dr. Garashambo?
Yes. Motion carries. Consent agenda.
So, Mr. President, Board, I recommend that we approve the consent agenda as presented.
Can I have an explanation before we get the meeting?
Absolutely, sir. We received a award memo from PED that granted those individuals who are teaching Native American languages minimum salaries to bring them up per the
It's those,
it's to bring it up to a specific amount as required by the PED. So this memo is actually late, this award letter should have come before the school started, right? But it didn't, and so this will be taking salaries, thank you very much, for 3 teachers. No, this doesn't happen. 3 teachers who in the, tell me the number again, that 520 program, who don't necessarily have a degree. They will be teaching at the level 2 salaries, minimum salaries of $60,000. So this will raise their current salaries from where they are now to a level 2 teacher salary. Moving forward as of this point.
And the amount is?
The minimum is $60,000.
No, it's 52,886.
The increase is that amount. The salaries will be going typically from 41,000 to 60,000 to 60,000 a year.
Is there a
The
scale?
average, so 19,000 for one, 17,000 some odd for another. So those 3 teachers will get reduced based on the new regulation.
In subsequent years?
Moving forward, they'll be moving forward in that pay scale.
And
They
there's,
don't come down, they just stay in that level 2, unless the legislation.
and there's a pay scale attached to this.
I'm sorry?
There is no pay scale there.
Mr. President, it's just showing the additions to what they're gonna be compensating those certain staffers to.
So the bar, the adjustment is for $52,886 to augment what we already have budgeted for those salaries in order to bring them up to the level that they're supposed to be at, moving forward with their salaries according to the PED. It's not their salary, it's just the adjustment to the budget.
Thank you. Motion?
I'll move to approve the consent agenda.
Second, Mr. President.
Motion been made and seconded to approve the consent agenda as presented. Roll call.
Robert Hayes?
Yes.
Ron Ortiz?
Yes.
Dr. Garashambo?
Yes. Motion carries. Superintendent's report.
Yes, I just want to continuously keep you updated on the Finance Committee audit of our district alongside Central Consolidated. We've had several interviews think many of us here were interviewed over the last couple of weeks. We had a team of 3 from LFC come and join us on the 27th of October. We were able to visit classrooms at Laguna Acoma High School, Los Lomitos, and Blue Water. So we're able to visit classrooms. The team got to observe a couple of PLCs in progress. Then the message to everyone was, we're not gonna put on a dog and pony show. We just, all schools were operating as they typically do. And so the LFC was able to get a true snapshot of what happens in grants on a daily basis at the schools. So from that, we finished that phase. I think we've completed the interviews. I know they asked Raina for a couple of additional interviewees to connect with. And then what's going to happen, in asking the questions that I asked, is that at some point they're already starting to draft a report. And in that report, there's going to be like a 2/3 completion point. And at that time, they'll should show us a draft of what they are looking at, what they found, that kind of thing. And then we'll have a chance to respond to that. Eventually, this will end with, or the culminating event will be Legislative Finance Committee will have a session in Santa Fe. And Mr. Carlson, Superintendent for Central Consolidated, and myself will be seated in front of LFC and field questions based on the report of both districts at that time. So we're moving along with that.
They visited which schools?
Laguna Acoma, Los Alamitos, Blue Water.
That's it?
When they interviewed, did they have a set script? Did they read
did,
off of a set of questions?
I couldn't tell if they're reading. The interviews were done by telephone, so I couldn't really see what they're doing.
Oh.
So, but the visit was in person, but the interviews are all done by phone. So. I think if I could remember what the general.
Were they open-ended questions?
Open-ended questions. There's no no yes, no type of thing.
Did they have follow-up questions to the open-ended questions?
Not yet. I think.
I mean, when they asked the question, they accepted your response and did not,
No, I think it was not that formal. They did have some follow-up, you know, kind of, it was more of in some ways, a conversation, a dialogue. They would open up the topic. Give me an example of what they might have asked HR about.
So they wanted to talk about our hiring practices and how, what the process is with that, and if we had any complaints and what are the procedures with that. So just really general questions with our department specific, anything with any conflict of interest that might have occurred with our employees. And just really general questions that were targeted with me. And like Mr. Pettis said, it was more of a dialogue. And once they asked the question and I answered, if they needed more clarification, then that's when they would ask more pointed questions. But other than that, it was a very pleasant conversation. They were genuinely interested in what practices we have that they could possibly share with other districts. And as far as my interview, they were really interested in what we were doing with recruitment and retaining employees and what other services and benefits we provided. They were, really highly interested in the SEL benefits that we offer our employees. As far as my interview, I'm not sure how.
They asked specifically in HR about the turnover rate and how our incentives, if they were effective or not. And I did compare, they gave us a list of documents that they wanted to assess, which I think we supplied just about all of them at this point. And then I know that Central Consolidated has got the same list of requested documents.
So
I don't-
they actually supplemented their interviews with specific requests for documents.
I think the request was prior.
Before, the request for documents was the very first thing they did.
Okay.
They asked me for some follow-up documents.
Yeah.
They were particularly interested in how we determine our ESSER funding, at-risk programs, things like that. So I was able to share with them our slide presentation of the ESSER funds, by areas of focus. I even play our video for that, and so they asked for 3 or 4 follow-up documents.
Okay. Thank you.
So speaking of video, I have to throw this in, the cadaver tables that we've shown on the video. We received those and they're in place as of yesterday.
Excuse me?
Cadaver tables, what's a better name for that? Dissection, virtual dissection tables.
Dissecting tables.
Yeah, so
Not sitting there on the table.
Or simulated.
Okay.
So they're both in place at both high schools. Pretty cool.
Okay.
So that's what they're up to so far.
Announcements. Anything else, Mr. Pettis, before I?
No, just, as far as superintendent's update, we had a professional development day yesterday, and we had all kinds of teachers, well, everybody on staff was working somewhere. We had third grade teachers together, fourth grade teachers together, high school math teachers together, custodians at one place, security guards at another. So we had a lot of things going on, a lot of good training. I did get to visit all of the teacher sessions at all 3 or 4 sites, and rich conversation about student learning. So I was glad to see all of that. But it was a full day for most of our employees.
Well, back to the LFC. Thank you very much, staff, for providing the necessary information to them. I know you did well, and were very competent in articulating all that you could in that short period of time that they gave us. And Mr. Pettis also, thanks for leading this. When it comes to the professional development, it's really remarkable how much we've evolved professional development from years ago that Jennifer and I know about, all the years, how we used to do professional development, and they were always genuine, in sincere intentions to train our teachers. It's just that we've evolved it even further so that we seem to be much more focused in a more systematic way on what it is that we need to do. So also congratulations to everybody who participated in those things. There you go. Announcements, you see them there. Veterans Day, regular school board, Thanksgiving break, NMSBA annual conference. You'll need to get some commitment at some point.
I already booked the rooms. We have 48 hours to cancel. They're all at the NBC Suites.
Plan to be there, and make up some hours.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so.
Yeah, you did a good job. Okay, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Future agenda items, as usual. Talk to me or Mr. Pettis. Adjournment, motion?
So moved.
So moved, Ron Ortiz. Is there a second to adjourn by Bob Hayes to adjourn the meeting?
Yes.
Ron Ortiz,
Yes.
Dr. Armstrong.
Yes. Meeting adjourned at, what?
6:58.
All right, I did it.
What happens if we don't second the adjournment? What happens? Do we get to stay?
Yeah.
Let's stay here.
One night.
Just add another hour on it.
Stay here till the next board meeting.
That's it.